Testing, testing, one, two, three. Hi, this is Liz, and welcome to Tuesday. Today we're going over Netflix recommendations for the week. And speaking of Netflix, I, like the rest of America, was completely obsessed with Tiger King. So I'm assuming just everyone's already watched it. If you haven't, that is the Netflix docu-series about the weird, wild, and petty world of people who own large cats. Yes, there are people who own tigers. Um, Buckle up, it's quite a ride. But the recommendation I have today is if you liked Tiger King and you like these just weird, odd stories that you've never heard about, I'm going to recommend 2018 docu-series also on Netflix called Wild Wild Country. And that is about in the mid 80s, this new age cult essentially took over a town in Oregon. It's about 6 episodes. It's really fun. I wouldn't say fun. It's fascinating. It's a really good watch. But if you liked Tiger King, go check out Wild Wild Country. Now on to movies. I'm going to do a little segment of movies that you should watch called It Could Always Be Worse. So the first movie I'm going to recommend is Roland Emmerich's 2012. You probably know Roland Emmerich best from his instant classic Independence Day. This is essentially turning up the destruction up to 11. He's not just blowing up the White House and that, I guess, Tower Records Tower in LA. He's destroying the entire planet. It's not the characters at the center of the movie aren't the strongest, but we don't care. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the explosions, and boy howdy, there are plenty. The next one I'll give you is a much better movie, and that is Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. And if you haven't seen Blade Runner, again, I would take this time to get a little brushed up on film history, particularly sci-fi history. This is the fabled final cut. If you know anything about this movie, there are multiple cuts made. This is the one director Ridley Scott goes by. And Ridley Scott as a director can be very hit or miss, but trust me, this one is an absolute hit. And it still, I think, looks fantastic. And again, if you're sitting inside in 2020 going, man, this stinks, I didn't think the future would be like this, just remember, people thought the future could have been worse because Blade Runner takes place in 2019. The next one I'll go on is a horror entry called Event Horizon. Definitely a bit gruesome, a bit scary. It's essentially a ghost demon movie in space, but again, if you need something to remind you that, hey, being stuck inside isn't that bad, Event Horizon's that. Going more on the comedy route, Groundhog Day, because as of right now, we're all kind of feeling like every day is the same. And like, is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? Not quite sure. And finally, we're going to end with a sci-fi entry called Moon. This was directed by Duncan Jones, who might actually not know this, is David Bowie's father. It's a really cool sci-fi story starring Sam Rockwell as a man who has to run this moon base alone and starts to realize things aren't quite what they seem and things are getting a little weird. So I have two movie recommendations if you want, let's say, an adult's night in. You don't want to watch something that's very, kid like, or you don't like, you you don't have kids and you'd like to just watch, a movie that might have a little bit more depth to it. The first one I'll recommend is Moonlight, the Oscar-winning film from 2016 about a young man's journey. From childhood to adulthood. I recently rewatched it. It's a beautiful looking movie and very emotionally affecting. So you might want to bring some tissues with you, but again, if you want something that's not just popcorn entertainment, I would definitely recommend that. And the other one I will recommend is 2014's Under the Skin, which I might say is I'd give it my most underrated movie of the 2010s. This stars Scarlett Johansson as an alien who goes around and hunts humans for food. It's not gory, it's not action packed, it's a very strange, weird sci fi trip. It's got this weird kind of ambient music as the soundtrack. It's definitely one of the stranger alien invasion movies you'll ever see, one of the stranger sci fi films. I definitely don't think you'll forget it. It is probably an either you or you will not be into it, but I absolutely love it and I love encouraging people to check it out. So on to TV series. The two I'll recommend are some oldies but goodies. The first is Cheers. I did not see Cheers the first run, but after watching stuff like The Good Place and being like, I should check out Ted Danson's other big TV show, and I absolutely fell in love with Cheers. I think it's great. It's funny. It still holds up. Real Rhea Perlman's on it, and I think she's hilarious. So yeah, check out Cheers or just give it a rewatch. It's definitely comfort food in this time. And the other, this is my comfort food TV show, The Twilight Zone, the original 50s version. Fun fact: when I was younger, I actually had a crush on Rod Serling. I was a weird kid, but I think this show holds up. I mean, there's a reason people still watch it. There's a reason Sci-Fi runs the marathon every year. It's I mean, overall as a show, there were over 100 episodes. So some are good, some are not, but the ones that are great, the ones that truly endure, and they endure for a reason, because they have a heart to it. Essentially, they have a message, they have great performances, and they're really good stories packed into about 20 minutes. So again, this is a either revisit or discover it. Personal favorite episode, I know everyone always likes to cite Monsters Do at Maple Street, which I like, but my favorite, I love To Serve Man. I love a good gut punch for a story, and that definitely has one. I won't give any spoilers because, again, there's still people who are new to this show. So, yep, even if something is over 50 years old, act like it's something that just aired yesterday. We're going on to the last couple movies, some children's recommendations. The first is both live action films. The first is 1995's A Little Princess. It's a great adaptation. It might be a little intense for some younger children, but I think it's a beautifully directed movie and a great adaptation of that book. And this will win you a bar bet. The director of that movie, Alfonso Cuarón. Oscar-winning director Alfonso Cuarón got to start in America directing a children's film. And the other one is the photo I used for today's announcement, Hugo, directed by Martin Scorsese. Again, let nobody say he doesn't have range. Hugo is a great, charming little movie. It looks beautiful. It's one of the few times I've seen 3D used in a movie that isn't overpowering. And it's a love letter to cinema. It's a secret movie about George Méliès, who's one of the first movie makers, and it's about the power of imagination, the power of cinema. I can obviously see why Scorsese wanted to direct this movie. It looks wonderful, and it's just everyone performing, and it is great. And actually, if you want to see Sacha Baron Cohen in a rare kind of toned down role, he's great in this, and I kind of wish he'd take more dramatic parts. So the final two movies I'll recommend. The first is an anime pick. If you're familiar with Hayao Miyazaki, you probably know that a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies are heading to HBO Max because, of course, everyone has to have a streaming service now. But there is one Miyazaki movie you can see without HBO Max, and that is Castle of Cagliostro. So this is a spin-off of an anime series, very famous anime series called Lupin the Third, which is it's about an international thief, a lot of heists, a lot of fun, not super high drama. It's a little bit toned down from the show, which can get a little raunchy and more adult-centered. This is definitely more kid-friendly, but animated or not, it's a great movie and also features one of the best car chase scenes in cinematic history. The final movie I'll recommend, this one was actually recommended to me by Mr. Ray. So if you watch this movie and you're sitting there dumbfounded for 90 minutes, go talk to Mr. Ray. This is a movie called Behind the Curve, and it is a documentary about people who believe the earth is flat. Yep. I am recommending it, if only for the I went on this ride, you all should too. It's actually kind of like Tiger King, where you're just watching it, jaw agape, not quite sure where any of this is going and what's wrong with everyone in this picture. So if, kind of like with Tiger King, if you just like documentaries about people who are strange, Behind the Curve is also for you. Or if you're like me, who just screamed into a pillow half the time at some of what these people were saying, I do that too. But I hope to see you tomorrow. Hopefully you'll enjoy these recommendations. And tomorrow is Prime Day, meaning a lot of weird stuff. Have a great day.